What's up, gamers? This is Yuban with a Mechabellum Replay commentary. Today we are going to highlight the power of the carry hound with their newly added tech, the chamber compression. In addition, we're going to highlight my current favorite starting unit composition, which is the unlikely hero of Mustang and Void Eye combo. Now, historically, Mustang Start is considered pretty garbage in the high MMR community. However, I've been finding that the Mustangs complement the Void Eyes really well in the early rounds, as Mustangs do an okay enough job chaff clearing. They act as chaff, and they can kind of take down almost anything that the Void Eyes cannot take care of. So with them starting out on round 1, I find you can get a lot of tempo out of it. Our opponent is Kepals, aka Kepals, aka Spider King, playing as Hound and Steel Ball, setting up as a mid-range setup here. Now, this is exactly what I was talking about. Having Void Eye in the current meta that is heavy in Hounds, heavy in Sabertooth, and heavy in Steel Balls in the starting matchup. Having these Void Eyes just delete these medium-sized units while the Mustangs can sit back and provide really awesome chaff clear support, some chaff here as you can see on the left side here. And this is buying time, allowing us to take this first round against a typically very high tempo, high firepower starting unit composition. Okay, now going into round 2, we have Wasp, Tarantula, Arclight, Rhino. We're not going for any of these on the right side because we don't need these guys for chaff clear because they just die to the Steel Balls really quickly, and definitely not Rhino unless we want to put the Rhino on the right side here. So instead, we thought opponent does not have any anti-air right now, so let's get a pack of Wasp and kind of challenge him a little bit to get an anti-air. And in the meantime, we already have a pack of Mustangs, so we're not afraid of the Wasp. Now, let's talk about the setup in the starting pack here. So we chose to go for a mid-range on round 1. So by mid-range, I mean we're around 5 to 7 squares in front of our tower. I like to use the crawler, vertical crawler, as a distance gauge for me, and also provides these crawlers to come in behind the Void Eyes. So we have 1 square in front of the vertical crawlers, so 6 squares in front. I chose to position our Mustang in the middle of the tower. This will allow this pack of Mustang to turn into the corner should our opponent go for any kind of flank with like a Phoenix or a Wasp in the corner. Okay. Our opponent went for the Tarantula. He is the Spider King after all, so he is very, very deadly with his carry spiders. On our side, we contemplated on playing the Wasp in the middle of the tower as a insurance policy, so both for defense and for a little bit of late arriving tower debuff. However, we decided, hey, let's be aggressive against our really strong opponent here. Let's put a pack of crawler here to pull any potential unit that he puts in the back. Usually, players will put a pack of hounds in the back, a pack of fangs in the back. So our goal here was to pull the fang with our crawler and allow our Wasp to get in. And in the case of our opponent going for his own Wasp in our deep flank, we went for 1 missile strike, 1 sentry missile here as an insurance policy. So this round, we did not reinforce our left side at all. We're really counting on our Wasp to do the work. Oh, we decided last minute to put our Wasp in the deep flank. And I think at this point I jokingly asked Kepals in game, I was like, have you ever played against the Gospel? And he actually said he just played against the Gospel the game before. Anyways, with our initial setup, we seemed like we were able to clear up our opponent's push anyway, even with the additional Tarantula joining the freight. I think having this late arriving tower debuff definitely helped our case. Okay, round 3, really good spell, Orbital Bombardment. It's going to come back on round 7 or round 8, and then also a laser sight. Here we can decide to go to play for immediate tempo by grabbing a spell, or we can grab something that is good long term. In our case, we thought we are winning the left side pretty hard. We have a lot of HP to burn. Let's try to invest in our long-term board and grab a laser sight. It's good on the Mustangs. It's also good on the Wasp should our opponent go for any kind of counter. So let's put it on the Wasp. Let's reinforce our deep flank. We jokingly said the Gospel as a bluff, really. We wanted to kind of shift his attention into the corner. So therefore he went for the Sabertooth in anticipation for a Rhino, I suppose, and going for the Mustang in the deep flank. So that means 400 supplies invested. Well, 500 supplies invested in this deep flank, not helping out his main army. However, that shouldn't matter for our opponent because the orbital bombardment should just clean up everything we have on the ground. And this should give our opponent the much needed tempo back that he was looking for. But even with the orbital bombardment, you can see that we actually held out pretty well, I would have to say. Not losing out by too much. Only taking like 600 HP. Okay, now going into round 4, with both of us being very healthy in HP, the super supply enhancement was an immediate pick, even though these two other items could be good for the giant units. And from here, after seeing our opponent going for the Sabertooth, we thought, okay, our bluff worked out. Let's sell out the Wasp and let's transfer the item to our leveled Mustang in the corner here. Even though this guy only did 1000 damage due to the orbital bombardment, we believe in the corner or the side Mustang. Okay, from here, this is exactly what we were hoping to highlight. Even after grabbing this expensive card, we had enough money to invest into the chamber compression as our first tech. This tech costs 200 supplies, and it's going to increase our attack power by 35% per second, meaning every time in between the 2.4 second interval, our hounds are going to get a 70% damage boost. That means even if our opponent grabs the level 1 defense enhancement on for the crawlers, typically our hounds would not one-shot them unless we have level 2 attack enhancement or level 2 hounds. However, with this tech, very cheap, 200 supplies, we're now going to be able to one-shot the crawlers, effectively making these hounds as effective as level 2 hounds at chaff clearing. And they're also going to serve as really good clear for the steel bolts now. So this is a phenomenal first tech on the hounds to start grabbing some much needed levels on the hounds. And also at the same time, we decided to go for a suppression shot tech, thinking, what the heck, it's 50 supplies, gives us more range to start to early target our opponent's hounds, and a little bit of, and it's going to also kind of serve as an insurance policy for any kind of big unit that our opponent has in store for us. If he puts down like a fortress or more Sabertooth, the suppression shot is going to be really powerful. Okay, so with our newly invested techs, we were able to just crush this round here, especially with our deep flank pull. and we're able to take down one shield of our opponent, causing a -100 situation. And most importantly, we're grabbing some levels now. Look at this. 2 Void Eye, 1 Hound level. Now, going into round 5, with both of us having these medium-sized chaff clear units already, the fangs don't look very good. Arclights, a little redundant, and we definitely don't have anything big for the melting point to be effective on. So our opponent went for the melting point and sell, essentially granting him a unlock for the later game, because both of us have super supply. You can anticipate some kind of giant unit. So I think this is a very smart play, and probably should have been the play that we made. However, we decided to go for the 2 level 1 Stormcallers, selling one of them and putting one in front of the level 2 tower, hoping for a mid-game tower debuff. However, opponent went for the Hounds and Crawler in front, so that's going to shut down our attempt at the tower debuff. And from here, with super supply giving us more money, we thought about 2 options. We could have elite recruited more level 2 Hounds, or we can just kind of save our money and go for level 1 units, hoping that they would just naturally gain more levels, especially with the chamber compression. And instead, we went for the level 2 attack enhancement, boosting up all of our medium-sized units damage by quite a bit, allowing us to clear the steel balls faster, and most importantly, allow our Mustangs to do more work. Let's see if our newly invested wider spread board and the cheese attempt is going to pay off. Let's see here. Look at these Stormcallers, just dying in vain. However, with a white board and the chamber compression in effect, you can see that we are clearing chaff much faster than our opponent. And most importantly, even after our chaff has run out, we still have these tanky Void Eyes, 3500 HP at level 2, to kind of provide another additional layer of tank for our Mustangs in the back to do some work. And that's going to result in another convincing round going into round 6 reinforcement. Okay, with both of us having lots of money to burn and no big units to use the acid blast against, we both decided to go for the intensive training. We went for the intensive training on the Mustang with item. Even though it was close to leveling, we still just wanted to just get it online, get it high level, and now it's time for some elite recruitment of Mustang and underground blitz with level 2 crawlers here. Our reasoning here was that we noticed our opponent only had a few packs of hounds and they're under leveled, nor do they have chamber compression. And so if they're relying on these Mustangs for chaff clear, then they're not going to clear underground blitz crawlers very fast. So let's try to create a chaff problem, set up our board, because typically with super supply, by this time, I would be itching to get something big with our money, something like a giant or a titan unit. However, we thought, okay, let's set up the board, set up our chaff clear, and we can respond to whatever our opponent throws at us. Look at these guys, one-shotting all the crawlers, while he's going to have a hard time, maybe even 3-shotting the underground crawlers at level 2. Okay, with our superior chaff clear ability, even though our opponent, I think, has more chaff than we do, seems like we're going to be able to push through and take down another shield in the process, gaining a little more economic advantage. Oh no, look at this. Good thing we have a missile here. Well, kind of a waste, but that's okay. With our middle push going through, seems like we're going to once again take the round, even though not by much. I thought the underground crawler would have done more actually. But that's okay. We're grabbing levels, we're grabbing experience. Look at this, more experience, more levels. Okay, round 7, another super supply comes online. It would be too troll for us to take it. It wouldn't even come into effect until like round 10. So both of us went for the lightning storm as the best spell to take out these clumped up medium-sized units. Basically, the lightning storm would just one-shot all of these units here. Very powerful. Okay, now with lots of supply, opponent went for one of the best response in this case, the HE War Factory. I think this is one of the best chaff clear units against underground crawlers, especially, as it doesn't care about the 55% damage reduction. It'll just one-shot every chaff, all of our Mustangs, all of our hounds, with a 12 meter splash. Very powerful. From here, we still were not sure about what our opponent was going for, so we did another round of elite recruit underground blitz crawlers with a pack with more hounds in the process to kind of just help us with chaff clear, and let's see what he does. You'll notice that we only went for 3 bubbles here. We went for 2 bubbles on the most likely side to get lightning, and then 1 more bubble just in case our opponent goes for the middle lightning storm. The chance of him going lightning storm on the right side is very low, so we didn't want to waste any money here. Against a high MMR opponent like Kepals, it's very important for us to be strategic with every single supply. And you notice that we're going for the rapid resupply already on round 7, even though we have super supply already. And I'll explain why. Seems like with only 1 war factory on the right side with no range, only 70 meter range, we're able to outrange the war factory quite a bit and take it out with the combination of our Void Eyes, Mustangs, and chamber suppression shot hounds here. Alright, going into round 8. Nothing to missile, so let's both go for the underground threat to create some extra chaff clear chaff problems. Okay, let's see. Look at this. These Mustangs doing work. Okay, I want to talk about why I decided to go for the lone on round 7, even though we had so much HP to burn. The reason is simple. Tempo. I wanted to close out the game. I wanted to carry the momentum by getting a little extra supply, range enhancement, high mobility to just make a beeline for our opponent's tower. And if you guys have watched Rat's beginner guide, he talked about you should always start to loan on round 7 and just keep loaning every single round until the end of the game. The reason being is that once you start loaning, if you continue to loan every single round after you start loaning, it takes 3 rounds before the drawback of the loan kicks in to be breaking even. Meaning that for round 7, round 8, we're going to be up in supplies by clicking this tech. Round 9, if we loan again, we break even. And it's only until round 10 that we're going to be losing 100 supply every round if we keep loaning. So the drawback of that is very little compared to how much tempo we can get early in the game to close out the game. And you saw the power of the range enhancement that last round here. This is why we always loan fairly early in the rounds if we think we can close out the game. Anyways, that was the power of chamber compression, I thought, giving us a lot of extra DPS. And now we need an answer for our opponent's war factories. Here we know for sure he's going to grab 1 more war factory and put it on the left side to even out his chaff clear power. So we had a few options. We could go for our own war factory without HE, so we can kind of out DPS our opponent. We can go for Abyss. We can go for Range Fortress. Or we can go for something very safe the melting point. I decided to go for the melting point because I thought the Abyss would take maybe 2 rounds to fully get into effect because our opponent has high-level Mustangs. So 1 Abyss with Swarm Missile is not going to cut it. We need at least 2 or 3 to take out the Mustangs. We did not go for the Fortress because we thought it was too slow. We needed at least like 4 to 8 fortresses against this many war factories. And we went for something immediate tempo, double melting point. Even though I think in the long run, if our opponent goes for steel ball production, the melting points will be worse for the compared to the Fortress or the Abyss. We're just banking on, hey, these level 1 guys are going to win us a game right now. Let's hope for that. Okay, we went for the back line underground crawlers in case our opponent goes for his own underground crawlers on the back of our tower, while our opponent goes for the forward. And you can see that the power of our medium-sized units, even though our opponent now has range and HE, we're able to get a favorable lock-on onto both of our opponent's war factories. And that's going to help us out quite a bit, meaning that we're going to be able to take down our opponent with 1 melting point left alive and take the game going into round 8. So I hope that game highlighted the power of Mustang starting pack. By having the Mustangs from round 1 and letting them survive behind these Void Eyes, we're able to accumulate a lot of experience, a lot of levels on these units here. And they serve as such a good utility unit for our backline that we were not worried about getting a deep flank at any point of the game because they can just take care of almost everything. And from here, we built a nice spread out board of our Void Eyes and chamber compression hounds. This was our first tech, and I believe by grabbing this 200 supply tech as our first, we were able to outscale our hounds compared to our opponent early on in the game, allowing us to chaff clear really effectively and gain lots of early game tempo. And lastly, the rapid resupply and range and high mobility allow us to kind of just out-tempo our opponent before these really scary war factories can get online. If the game goes for 1 more round, he goes for 2 more war factories with steel ball production, we're for sure toast. There will be no way for us to come back. And you notice that our opponent actually did not even start loaning on going into round 8. And after this game, Kepals decided to replay the last round by loaning and getting temp range. And just the difference of this 15-meter range allowed him to win the round pretty convincingly. I think he dealt like 1,000 HP damage to our board by just having extra range. So in summary, I would say this game could have been very tough for us if our opponent has stabilized by grabbing the range enhancement. So we definitely got lucky, but I thought it was still a very cool game to showcase the power of these medium-sized units that can carry you all the way into round 7, round 8. So yeah, that concludes our replay commentary for today. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time.